Hello everybody, I'm Pouyan Darian, the principal attorney at DARIAN Immigration Law. And today I'm here to discuss part 2 of asylum law. I was so overwhelmed with consultations and questions about last week's video that I had to do a follow-up video with frequently asked questions regarding asylum law. Okay, so the very first question and the most frequent question I've been asked regarding this topic is employment authorization. Can I apply for employment authorization if I apply for asylum or have a pending asylum application? And the answer generally is yes, you can. 365 days after the government receives your asylum application, you can generally apply for an employment authorization document, a work permit, which is a federal government ID card, which will be mailed to your address. And simultaneously, if you apply for it, you should also receive a Social Security card in the mail. So that's great news. And the policy was actually changed last year. It used to be such that you can apply for employment authorization 180 days after you apply for asylum, but now it's 365 days. And it does currently carry an $85 fingerprinting fee, a biometrics fee, for the initial application. All right, so the next question I've been receiving very frequently is, can I include family members on my asylum application? And the answer to that is also yes. You can include a spouse and children who are under age 21 on your application. Now, I've also seen a situation where somebody will apply for asylum, the process will take time, and during that time they marry, or they were married initially and then they divorce and remarry, or their marital status changes. At any time you can amend the asylum application before a final decision is made on the application. And generally your derivatives, the family members you include, in some situations would also be eligible to receive employment authorization in the US. The next question I'd like to answer is, how long does it take to apply for asylum? It depends, okay? It depends what city you're in. It depends whether you're in front of a judge or in front of an asylum officer, which is a complicated distinction that your lawyer will have to make for you. Let me try to answer this question by saying, here in New York, if you're in front of USCIS, if you are interviewing with the asylum office, I recently attended an interview for an application that was filed in 2016, and it's 2021 right now, so 5 years. Since 2016, though, they've been accelerating the adjudication, the processing of these applications. Now, if you're with an immigration judge, if you're in a court setting, 3 months to 5 years. It depends on which judge you get. It varies widely. This is a question I've been receiving kind of nonstop for the last week. If I move to a different city while my asylum case is processing, can I transfer my case? Yes. Generally, yes. Again, if you're with USCIS, it's generally easier. You just submit a change of address. Your lawyer can do this for you. If you're with immigration court, it depends. You know, let's say you entered and you have court, your very first court hearing is in Texas, it's in a few months, and you move to New York where my office is. Yeah, probably. If you haven't attended any court hearings or you only attended one preliminary one, we can generally transfer that to New York without an issue. But it depends. You really need to speak to your lawyer about that. If you've attended several hearings, the court is going to be less willing to transfer it now that they are the ones familiar with your case. They don't want to send it to a new judge and start all over again. So the answer, as often, is it depends. But you got to talk to your lawyer so we can go through the situation. People have been asking, what evidence do I need to submit with my asylum application? There's a general rule that holds Any available corroborating evidence must be submitted with your application. So what does that mean? Let's say a part of your story, your asylum claim, based on past harm, is that you were attacked and you went to a hospital. Now, if your story is that you went to a hospital, there are probably medical records. An asylum officer will ask you, or should ask you, where are your medical records? Now, at that point, you either must submit the records or explain why they are not reasonably available. And this is true for all reasonable corroborating evidence. If evidence can be reasonably obtained to support your case, you must obtain it. And your lawyer can go through what pieces of evidence you have to determine what's relevant. You know, if your resources are limited and we have to translate a ton of documents to English, we can prioritize the documents that will actually have an effect on the outcome of your case. So this is a very sensitive question, and it depends entirely on your claim. There's also a rule that says that asylum applicants can be granted asylum with just their testimony. But that's rare. That's usually where there is no available corroborating evidence. Let's say the government that's persecuting you took everything from you. You don't even have a passport. There have been people who entered the US with a fraudulent entry document, like a fraudulent passport, to escape fear, to escape persecution, and they have been granted asylum in the future. Another question that I've recently been asked is, what is the funniest thing that's happened during an asylum hearing? One thing that recently happened is we were permitted to appear by telephone. So I could ask all my questions by telephone. It's a pretty serious hearing. I mean, asylum matters are life and death. And during the hearing, so it's my office, the Department of Homeland Security attorney, judge, and we're all by teleconference. And during the hearing, you know, it's very heart-wrenching testimony being translated, and you just hear a toilet flush. And there was silence. Nobody said anything for a few seconds. And then I repeated the question to my client, trying to keep a straight face. Thank you for watching my video. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions. Remember that when we consult, I go through extreme detail. I want to hear everything about your life so that we can see how strong your case is. And one thing to keep in mind is everything we discuss is entirely confidential. I understand that it's not easy to discuss extremely traumatic life experiences. You know, if you're afraid for your life, that's not easy to talk about with anybody. So confidentiality is my priority. So if you or anybody you know need to explore immigration options, please call or text me at 914-885-3961. Even if you're not sure if it's a matter that I can assist you with, give us a call. My office manager will see if it's something that I can help you with during a consultation. You could always book a consultation online as well. And please stay tuned for future videos because I'm going to go through any upcoming topics, any questions that I hear during consultations in next week's video. Thank you.